and welcome to another edition of Enlightened Espresso, where we talk with my master, Master Heng Chang, about issues, things I hear, and things we all experience in our Western culture, and how we would address it from a Buddhist perspective. So, Master, thank you for joining us once again. Mm-hmm. I wanted to open today with a fundamental concept in Buddhism, and that's that life is suffering, or how you've explained it to me, dissatisfaction. Can you talk about that, maybe from how we'd experience that here in the Western world, and then how we begin to address or deal with it?
As one time I was sick, and somebody asked me, "How do you feel?" I said, "I feel pain." No, Master, what do you really feel? After I thought for a minute, I said, "I feel powerless." Suffering is a direct translation from the word dukkha from Buddhism, and it's seemed to be very simplistic, just suffering. But it could be mean pain, but also mean, for example, nowadays we call stress. Stress creates a lot of very anxiety, creates so many, a range of all the feelings, stress. And nowadays somebody else also translate as a dis-ease. Now we Buddhists, we say this feeling of suffering is very fundamental, and we have all the living beings, we always feel this moment of dissatisfaction. The Buddha living in his royal palace, when he went out, he saw the dead, he saw the sick, and he saw the one who is just born, and he realized that that's the side of suffering. But you look deeper inside, and you realize that also the side of powerlessness. You experience powerlessness, you experience a deep sense of losing control. So in any form of suffering, not only physical, psychological, emotional, but we also feel the lack of the sense of control, the sense of being powerful, the sense of who am I? And that because we expect ourselves to be very powerful. We expect that life is picture perfect. We expect that we are the center of the universe.
But so if I were to sum it up and then put it in one sentence, would you explain it as dissatisfaction comes from seeking power?
No, I would say that dissatisfaction comes from this very wrong assumption that life is perfect.
That we try to control, that we can control so many things.
And we control that image because we want to control the image that life is perfect. I drive, I don't have an accident. I live, I can get old. When I do something, I need to be successful. That's the assumption. Now, when we make an effort to hold on to that assumption, itself is a form of suffering. And therefore, if you look deeper and deeper and deeper, it's not about what's happened to you, but it's how you deal with your own assumption.
How you react to the events that come
First,
your way.
What kind of assumption you have, and then how do you react to that. So the basic assumption that we assume that ourselves is perfect, that we cannot get sick, we are powerful. And then when we lose that narration, suddenly, whoops, we feel very disappointing, and we feel pain from all of this, and therefore we go suffering, we go dissatisfaction. But the very, very deep and basic fundamental of all is the picture perfect kind of image. I have someone I know, his son died at a very early age, very young age, teenager. He was suffer. He suffered because assumption is my son should live longer than me. That's assumption.
So talk to me, because the sense of impermanence in Buddhism. We all get sick, we all get older, we all eventually leave these bodies, and
right.
and how much of that creates the dissatisfaction? I'm not sure I understand.
It's not how much of that creates the dissatisfaction, but how much ingrained that we attach to a sense of self. The more we attach to the sense of self, attached to the sense of controlling, attached to the sense that this is my expectation, I need to have the expectation. So the teaching just sort of not only compounded, but the teaching just make you feel safer that if you follow the teaching, then maybe you have less suffering. You don't. You follow the teaching, sufferings come to you at the same time, same degree of intensity. But the assumption that we always assume, and this assumption sometimes is so difficult to untie. I'll give you another example. A Vietnamese from Vietnam would feel very happy thinking that, oh, if I go to America, I'll be very happy. No, immigration doesn't help if you don't have what it takes to live here. You don't have the culture, and you don't have this kind of mindset to live in this country.
But so much of what we're judged by others, right, is based on our material.
Yes.
If you drive a Ferrari, it's better than driving a Toyota or a Hyundai or something else, and so you seek that material. How does a Buddhist begin to address that in the spirit or with regard to suffering and what that creates?
Very good. You are taking the whole topic into different angle, because we're talking about how we attach to the self, attach to the desire, and the picture perfect, how we want to be very powerful, how we can control that narratives. And then suddenly, there's teaching, there's a way that and people act around us. And they become veils after veils, cover up our very pure intention. It's like our being. Now we are no longer go after I am, but go after I have. And that is another cause for even more pain and suffering and dissatisfaction. So yes, you are directing the topic that we're talking now even deeper, because we have so many layers and layers of attachment to the haves, no longer just the be. And therefore, if I may suggest a solution, and that solution is to go back to who I am. Meditation is one of it. To be aware of the assumption, but to also be aware of the fullness of one being. If you can sit and you can smile, if you can sit right here and you feel happy about yourself, then suddenly you can see through all of these bombardments from all kind of things coming to you. Everything that you consider to be dissatisfaction now come to you, and you look at it and you realize that, hey, if I don't have the desire for it, it doesn't cause dissatisfaction.
But let's
so
go.
Everything go against your will or against your wish and your want. They always create this very stressful situation.
Let's say I go to the store.
Okay.
I buy a very expensive shirt.
Right.
Then I go from the store to the Ferrari dealership and I buy a brand new red Ferrari, only 18 of them in the United States. I get one of them and I drive off that parking lot at 50, 60 miles an hour and I don't get arrested, let's say. Aren't I happy?
How insecure we are.
Talk to me about that though, that happiness and whether or not how you would view that.
I knew one person who, similarly to that, he's have a new Honda car, and the neighbor, come out and scratch the side, and he was so unhappy, so stressful. That's the answer. All the bubble dream will be busted so soon. Nothing is stay perfect forever. So it's impermanence.
It's temporary satisfaction.
Very ephemeral, yes.
And how do you gain that more permanent, that serenity, that satisfaction? When we meditate, you talk about I am home, feeling that peace. How do you begin to create that?
How do I begin to create that? It's a very, very important direction that in our life that we need to switch from having into being. Only meditation can help us to go back to that, to recognize the being. And this culture, the people we associate, and the work we do, and you read newspaper, you watch movie, everything is about having and having more, comparing and keep comparing. So going back to being, sometimes you cannot do by yourself. You may need to have some good friends, good teachers, good associates to help you to come back to the be, to yourself, and just know that when you be able to look at your mind, be able to look at everything's come at you, bombard at you, you look at them, and you realize the reason why they come at you because you asked for them.
What do you mean you asked for them?
You want it, you wish it, you want to be happy. Then happiness will come, and then it comes and it goes. Everything have a lifespan. You ask for it. So everything's come because you attract them. You ask for it, meaning you attract them, and the desire attracts them. So back to the suffering. It's really an illusion, but basically, what in it is this: you lost the sense of being. You're after the sense of having.
So you're seeking happiness by having more.
Exactly, and that is the root of suffering: wanting and wishing. And then, as we discussed now, you see layers and layers, all the veils covering it, and so we can't see it, and we only recognize it when things go wrong way. Okay, I want to have $2 gas per gallon, but now it's $6 per gallon, so I'm suffering. Hey, wait a minute. That's expectation, right?
Uh-huh.
That's expectation. That's you want to control that. Is not about the price, but about this wish inside. Oh, you want to control. Oh, you want to go the way that we want to go.
Though there's some degree of, I need to get to work, and I need my car to get to work, and I need to provide and functional. Are you saying there's some degree or some balance that you're seeking to achieve?
Perfect. Balance is right, the right words for it. We always have to be balanced because we want to be secure because I am, not I have, and then certain things that you need to have in order to be functional.
You talked about, as we begin to address it and help people so that they can begin to implement this being instead of having mentality.
Right.
And you said and you've told me when you're ready, a teacher appears. I mean, for anyone watching, maybe they're ready.
Yes.
What would be a nice first step? How would they find a teacher or a teaching?
I don't have a perfect answer for it, but I think the answer with everyone was if you put out the wish there, then suddenly you will attract the answer.
And just the recognition too is a good first step.
The very good first step. And good friend is the beginning of all the goodness. In Buddhism, as well as any other religions, good friends. Good friends can be good teachers. Good teacher can be good friends, but good friends is everything in the path that help you to coming back. And who are the good friends? The friends that recognize the value inside and not to be insecure about the have or not have. Suffering and not suffering, it's really, at this moment now, is not the suffering, but how we can be ourselves. And that will help us to look at all things we have, and we can define the agenda, and therefore we can be free from the suffering.
But that meditation you talk so much about,
yes,
how can that begin to eliminate that dissatisfaction? Give me a good first step for anybody watching today.
Just to sit quiet, close your eyes, do a little breathing, but basically let your mind coming really, really down. We also have different kind of practice, like you focus on your heart center, your heart, and instead of thinking about anything, you think about this heart here, from here, the light shining out from all direction. Because shining the light is different from getting anything. It's different from watching your breath. But realize that you are like the lights always giving out instead of just taking things. But being the force of giving, even just thinking about that, is already help us to switch from going after something back to what we are. Because that's a very good exercise. Yes.
So meditating on how we can give instead of how we can get, and finding that stillness and that balance.
Yes. And then as you keep doing more and more, you can go deeper and deeper, become more and more mindful of the stillness, and more deeper and deeper. But There's many, many techniques, yes.
So, and I have a good second step suggestion for everyone out there would be to tune into another installment of
Sure.
Enlightened Espresso, hear from Master Chung about Buddhism from a Western perspective. Thanks for being here.